Have you noticed your body sending quiet signals that feel ordinary but may hold deeper meaning? You might think it is just aging, just fatigue, or just a change in appetite. But sometimes these simple shifts carry a weight we rarely recognize until it is too late. This video is about those moments, the whispers of the body that doctors from places like Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic have seen again and again in the months leading up to the end of life. The surprising truth is these signs are not always dramatic. They may look like more naps in the afternoon, a plate left unfinished at dinner, or a loved one choosing silence over conversation. Because these changes often seem so small, families dismiss them or misread them until a doctor finally explains what they mean. But when you understand the signals, you have a chance to bring peace, clarity, and comfort instead of confusion or regret. You will see that recognizing these signs does not mean giving up. It means leaning into love, offering gentleness at a time when every quiet moment matters. Stay with me until the end, because the next few minutes may open your eyes in a way that changes how you see aging, care, and love in the most important chapter of life. Now let's get started. Number 1. Changes in sleep patterns. One of the first signs families often miss is when a senior begins to sleep much more during the day and stay restless or wide awake at night. At first glance, it looks like simple tiredness, or perhaps a bad night's sleep. But in truth, it can be the body entering a different phase. Energy that once went to digestion, circulation, or even daily movement is slowly being conserved, and this shows itself in sleep cycles that shift dramatically. I remember Harold, an 81-year-old from Tennessee. For years, he loved his afternoon baseball replays on television. But one season, his daughter noticed he could not stay awake through the first inning. Within weeks, Harold was sleeping nearly 18 hours a day, wide awake at 2 or 3 in the morning, pacing quietly while the rest of the house slept. His family thought it was boredom or poor sleep habits, but later doctors explained it was a sign that his body was preparing for the last chapter of life. Medical researchers from Harvard have found that as the body slows, the brain's internal clock begins to misfire. Day blends into night, and normal rhythms fade. It is not a disorder in the usual sense, it is a signal, and if families miss this, they often respond with frustration, pushing for routines that no longer fit, when what is really needed is comfort and presence. So what can you do if you notice this? Start simply by keeping track of sleep in a small notebook. Count how many hours are spent resting at night and napping in the day. If it adds up to more than 15 or 16 hours daily for a week or longer, bring this observation to a doctor. Sometimes just naming the change can guide care in a gentler, more thoughtful direction. More importantly, shift how you respond. Instead of trying to wake your loved one or pressuring them to stay alert, sit beside them, read a few lines from the newspaper, hold their hand. These small acts turn what looks like decline into a chance for meaningful connection. Recognizing this sign does not mean surrender. It means choosing to love wisely, sitting in quiet support while they rest longer than before. Number 2. Loss of appetite. Another sign that often goes unnoticed is when a loved one slowly stops enjoying their meals. Families sometimes assume it is a passing mood, a change in taste, or perhaps a reaction to medication. But when a person begins leaving food on the plate, turning away from favorite dishes, or eating just a few bites before stopping, it can be a quiet message that the body is shifting into a new stage. Ethel, an 82-year-old from Michigan, baked apple pies every Sunday for over 60 years. Her pies were warm, spiced with cinnamon, and shared with family after church. But one autumn, her daughter noticed she barely touched her slice. The following week, she did not ask about dessert at all. Within 2 months, Ethel had lost noticeable weight. While her family worried about depression, her doctors gently explained that her body was naturally letting go and conserving energy in its final season of life. Palliative care specialists from Mayo Clinic remind us that as the body nears its end, digestion becomes less of a priority. Energy is rerouted to keep the heart beating and the lungs working. Food, once a pleasure and a necessity, becomes less important. It is not stubbornness nor sadness, but biology quietly at work. This shift can be difficult for families, especially when food has always been a symbol of care. Forcing meals may cause discomfort or even harm. Instead, think smaller and gentler. Offer simple portions like a spoonful of mashed potatoes, a piece of soft fruit, or a bit of warm broth. Watch not with judgment but with patience. Keep notes about how much they eat and share those with their doctor. If appetite loss continues for more than a week, especially if weight changes are clear, most importantly, remember that meals in these moments are less about calories and more about comfort. Sit beside them, share a memory, hum an old tune, or simply be present while they take a bite or two. Love in these moments is not measured by an empty plate, but by the warmth of quiet companionship. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3. Social withdrawal. One more sign families often miss is when a loved one begins pulling away from the connections that once brought them joy. At first, it may look like tiredness or even a bit of moodiness, but when someone who used to love phone calls, Sunday dinners, or chatting with neighbors suddenly becomes quiet and prefers long hours alone, it can be the body and mind beginning a natural process of letting go. Franklin, an 84-year-old from Ohio, never missed a Friday poker night. He would arrive with his lucky hat and peppermints, ready to laugh with his friends. Then, slowly, he stopped attending. He skipped calls from his grandson and began keeping to himself. His daughter thought he was simply worn out, but doctors explained that this retreat was part of the body's preparation near life's end. Specialists at Johns Hopkins note that social withdrawal is not always depression. Sometimes it is an inward turning, a gentle shift where the spirit seeks quiet rather than company. For families, this can feel confusing or even painful, as if their loved one is shutting them out. But it is not rejection, it is reflection, a way of finding peace. What helps most is presence without pressure. Offer soft moments rather than expectations. Sit nearby with a book, play music they once loved, or simply hold their hand. A short hello or a warm touch can mean more than long conversations. Allow them to set the pace. It is important not to take this change personally. They are not turning away from you, but turning inward to prepare in their own way. And sometimes the deepest gift we can give is to honor that choice with gentleness, patience, and love. Number 4, conversations with the unseen. Another sign that often surprises families is when a loved one begins talking with people who have long since passed away, or drifts between moments of clarity and moments that feel out of place. To those around them, it can seem unsettling, but to the person experiencing it, these moments can bring peace. Vernon, an 86-year-old from Florida, was sharp in many ways. He could recall birthdays, recite old songs, and even debate politics with his neighbors. Yet in the evenings, his daughter would hear him softly speaking in the living room. One night she heard him say, "Martha, I know you're here." Martha was his wife who had died 6 years earlier. His daughter worried it was dementia, but hospice nurses explained it was not unusual in the final chapter of life. According to specialists at the Cleveland Clinic, changes in the brain, such as shifts in oxygen levels or altered perception of time, can cause people to recall vivid memories or sense the presence of loved ones who have gone before. While it may look like confusion, these experiences often bring comfort. They can act as a bridge, easing the transition and softening fear. Families sometimes make the mistake of correcting their loved one, saying that's not real, or you're confused. But this can create distress. A more loving response is to listen, to allow the stories to unfold, ask gentle questions, write down what they share, and treat those moments as gifts. You may hear memories they never revealed before, small treasures wrapped inside fragile conversations. Rather than seeing this as a loss of reality, it may be better understood as a sacred space between here and beyond. In those moments, what your loved one may need most is not correction but companionship, someone willing to sit quietly with them as they walk a path we all must one day take. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, loss of physical strength. One of the clearest signs that the body is entering its final phase is a sudden drop in physical strength. This isn't the slow decline we expect with aging, but rather a more noticeable change when everyday actions that once felt simple become unexpectedly hard. Carmen, an 83-year-old from Texas, had always cherished her morning routine. She walked to her mailbox, tended to her roses, and took quiet pride in caring for her home. Then one spring morning, her daughter noticed she was struggling to push herself up from her chair. A few days later, Carmen needed help walking to the bathroom. She hadn't suffered a fall and she wasn't sick, but her body was quietly shifting. Experts from the American Geriatric Society explained that in the final months of life, the body begins redirecting its energy. Muscles, which require a great deal of energy to maintain, gradually weaken as the body prioritizes vital organs like the heart and lungs. Even with rest and good nutrition, strength fades. It's not laziness nor lack of willpower. It is the body conserving what little energy it has left for survival. The danger arises when families misinterpret this weakness. Loved ones may urge the person to try harder or keep moving, believing it will help, but this can cause injury or emotional frustration. Instead of motivating, it may feel like blame, as though they are failing. What helps is a shift in approach. Safety before stamina. Remove loose rugs, add sturdy grab bars, place chairs in key spots so they can rest often. And above all, offer support without guilt. When strength fades, it is not only the body speaking but also the spirit, signaling that gentleness is needed. Recognizing this can transform frustration into compassion. By meeting these changes with patience and care, you allow your loved one to live their final days with dignity, supported rather than pressured, understood rather than misunderstood. Number 6. Changes in breathing patterns. Another powerful sign that life may be nearing its close is a change in breathing. These shifts are often subtle at first, but grow more pronounced over time. Breathing may become shallow, then suddenly quick, or it may pause for long stretches before resuming softly. To those watching, it can be frightening, yet for the person themselves, it is often painless. Raymond, a 79-year-old retired firefighter from Georgia, showed this pattern in his final weeks. His wife, Elaine, would notice it most during his naps. He would breathe quickly for a few moments, then stop, leaving her holding her own breath in fear until he began again gently, as if nothing had happened. At first she worried he was slipping away in those moments, but doctors explained it was part of a natural process. According to the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization, these changes occur because the lungs and heart are no longer working at full strength. The body adapts, conserving energy by slowing down and shifting rhythms. This may result in what's called Chine-Stokes breathing, where clusters of breaths are followed by pauses. While it looks alarming, it is rarely distressing for the person experiencing it. The challenge for families is not to panic or rush into unnecessary interventions. Too often we mistake this as a medical crisis, when in truth it is the body signaling a gentle transition. The better path is to focus on comfort and peace, elevating the head with pillows, keeping the room calm and quiet, or allowing a breeze from an open window can help ease the process. Speaking softly or holding their hand can also provide reassurance, even if they don't respond outwardly. Elaine later said that once she understood what was happening, her fear gave way to love. Instead of sitting in dread, she sat in presence, holding her husband's hand and listening to the soft rhythm of his breathing. She realized she wasn't supposed to fix anything? No, only to be there. That presence, that simple act of being, was the true medicine in those moments, the greatest gift she could possibly give. If you're still here watching this video and finding these insights meaningful, I invite you to comment number 6 below to let me know you're here and engaged. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I truly recommend you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a future video. Every bit of support you give helps us continue creating thoughtful content that informs, inspires, and uplifts. Now let's continue forward together. Number 7. Emotional preparation and letting go. This 7th sign is not always something visible in the body. Instead, it appears in the heart, in the quiet corners of a person's spirit. As people approach the later stages of life, they often begin to express themselves differently. Their words, actions, and gestures reveal that they are preparing, not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually for closure. For some, this may look like conversations about regrets, moments of reflection on past choices, or heartfelt attempts to reach out to long-lost family members and friends. Others may begin giving away meaningful possessions, small or large items that carry stories, memories, and personal significance. Each act becomes a thread in the fabric of legacy, a way of leaving something behind that is far greater than the object itself. Take the story of Lawrence, an 85-year-old from Nevada. In his final months, something shifted in him. One morning he asked to speak with his brother, a man he hadn't spoken to in 15 long years. No one in the family could remember exactly what caused the rift between them, but Lawrence carried that silence like a heavy stone on his chest. He longed to mend it before it was too late. Around the same time he began giving away his old tools, each one handed to a family member with a memory carefully attached. His daughter, seeing this, grew worried. She feared these gestures meant he was giving up, but his hospice nurse explained gently that this wasn't surrender. It was preparation, a natural and deeply human process of making peace. According to the National Institute on Aging, many people nearing the end of life feel a powerful desire to resolve unfinished matters, both practical and emotional. It's not about abandoning hope, it's about creating peace. This preparation allows them to let go gracefully, and it gives their loved ones a chance to hold on to meaning, even after they are gone. Families sometimes make the mistake of dismissing these actions as unnecessary, overly emotional, or even signs of weakness. But in truth, these are some of the most profound moments of connection a family can experience. If your loved one asks to make a phone call, write a letter, or share a memory, let them. If they want to give something away, even if it seems small or unimportant, allow it. The object itself is not what matters. What matters is the story, the meaning, and the love tied to it. These moments are not about loss, they are about legacy. They are opportunities for loved ones to listen, to be present, and to receive wisdom wrapped in the form of keepsakes, stories, and shared experiences. When we embrace these acts with openness and love, we discover that these final gifts can bring a comfort that lasts long after the person has passed on. Coming up next, we'll bring all of these signs together into one reflection, showing that noticing them is not about fearing death, but about deepening love and connection during the time that remains. Final thoughts. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. What we've explored today are not signs meant to frighten or overwhelm you. Instead, they are gentle reminders of the ways our bodies and spirits communicate as life nears its final chapter. The 7 signs we've discussed, changes in sleep, appetite, social connection, memory, strength, breath, and finally emotional preparation are not random. Each is a signal, often subtle, of transition. Recognizing these signals isn't about giving up hope. It's about shifting the way we love and the way we care. It's about providing comfort where confusion might otherwise take over, and presence where frustration might otherwise linger. When we see these signs clearly, we gain the opportunity to respond, not with fear but with wisdom, tenderness, and compassion. For families, this awareness can transform what would otherwise be painful moments into meaningful opportunities for closeness. Instead of pushing loved ones to maintain normal routines or expecting things to stay the same, we can lean into gentleness. We can listen more deeply, sit more quietly, and honor the small details that matter so much at the end of life. A look, a touch, a softly spoken word, these can mean more than any medical treatment or elaborate gesture. For those personally experiencing these signs, know that this is not a cause for alarm. It is part of the natural rhythm of life, a reminder that body and soul are preparing for rest. Acknowledging this truth allows us to reclaim peace, to embrace acceptance over resistance, and to allow dignity to guide the journey forward. As loved ones, the greatest gift we can offer is not always fixing, solving, or doing. Often the most powerful act of care is simply being present, staying close, listening, letting the person know they are not alone. These moments, simple yet profound, can later become the memories that comfort us for years to come. Thank you again for joining us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below and share one thing you've learned from this discussion and how you plan to carry it into your own life. Your words are important to us, and your reflections encourage others in this community. Reading your comments gives us motivation, hope, and the strength to continue bringing you meaningful content. And before you go, if you found this video valuable, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Your support makes it possible for us to continue creating content that informs and inspires. We're grateful for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next video.